The Department of Social Development has fired its head of communication, Lumka Oliphant, after she was accused of leaking details about Minister Tolashe's R3 million New York trip. In a letter dated October 17th, the department's Director General Peter Netshipale confirmed Olifant's dismissal, citing misconduct and her failure to respond to the charges against her. Olifant, who had been on precautionary suspension with full pay, has denied the allegations, describing the process as politically motivated and linked to internal tensions within the department, particularly between the minister and former Minister Bathabile Dlamini. Meanwhile, the department remains under the spotlight and disciplinary charges are now being brought against the Director General Peter Netshipale related to conduct in the performance of his duties. This afternoon, we speak exclusively to Lumka Oliphant herself to hear her side of the story and what really happened behind the scenes. We also have the spokesperson of the department, Sandy Godlwana. We also invited political analyst, Professor Setulego Matebesi, to give us his view on the turmoil in the department. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. Really do appreciate it. Sandy, I'm going to start here. Can you say to us the charges, the reasons, and the evidence relied upon that led to the dismissal of Lumka Oliphant?
All right, thank you so much. Let me greet you as well as all the listeners, viewers. The charges of Ms. Lumka Oliphant relates to gross misconduct. She was first suspended based on an Auditor General's finding, in relation to an IGS project as well as DSD TV news, that a program that she embarked on and she managed. So that is why she was suspended initially. But then, following the suspension, Ms. Lumka Oliphant was seen on television having radio interviews, TV interviews, talking about the department and, programs of the department while she was on suspension. And the dismissal letter clearly stated that the charges are in relation to causing the department to be in disrepute. It's related to a violation of the communication policy. It's also a violation of the security clearance, but also it's insolence as well as disrespect, because really the interviews that she's had talking negatively about the department has led to us having a negative, reputation as well as damaging our image as a department. So these were the charges, and of course, she was given an opportunity, Ms. Lumka Oliphant, to send representations, but unfortunately, she elected not to submit those representations. This also includes the fact that it was confirmed that she has been charged, but there was no communication on her side based on that. So that's the confirmation from the department in relation to the dismissal.
Yeah, I want us to comb through all of those a little bit specifically to get detail of the specific transgressions. So the one that you've described in detail is a transgression pertaining to doing interviews, speaking about the work or representing the department, speaking about its programs while on suspension, so violating in that instance suspension conditions, gross insolence as well as negligence. Can you describe to us very specifically what the actions were that formed the transgressions?
One can mention the fact that, during her interviews, there were also social media posts as well in relation to minister not having a matric, etc. So it's those utterances that were made that really just damaged the image of the organization, but it's also posts and information that was shared about the department that led to, the department really feeling that, it's inaccurate information that is shared, and it's leading to, a lot of people talking about the department negatively and messing up our reputation.
What was the inaccurate information?
For instance, we were concerned about the posts. There were, a post that was shared on Facebook. I'll make in reference to a social media post that was shared yesterday. There were as an indication that the SASA CEO was suspended, fired. There's also information about
hold on.
Things that are happening.
Just, Sandy, the post that was published yesterday would have been after the fact of her firing. I'm talking about Before the fact of a firing, what was the incorrect information that was shared by Lumka?
The incorrect information relates to, sorry?
No, go ahead. Sandy? Seems like we've lost Sandy there. We'll try to get her back on the line there. Look, so we've gotten some detail from Sandy then. I want to bring you into the conversation and perhaps start with the first question pertaining to you having failed to make representations before the disciplinary committee that finally led to your firing. Is it true that you did not make representations, and why did you opt not to do so?
I will urge Ms. Sandy Godlwana to actually do her reading before she can be able to come to interviews so that she can be able to have correct information. I'm not surprised now that she has decided now not to be part of the interview. But let's start from the beginning. As you know, that on the 1st of September, I was I was suspended allegedly for an AGSA report and the IJS program. And I think in my statement yesterday, I listed each and everything. I challenge any journalist today because the Auditor General's report is now public. And anyone who wants to be able to check that report, I urge them to look at whether the acting DDG corporate support services is mentioned in that report. Number two, I also was accused of, number one, mismanaging 6 million rand on NISPIS. This is an unfunded...
Lumka, just a second. I will get into the allegations that you faced and the substance to it. I just want a response to my initial question. Did you fail to make representations during your suspension to the disciplinary committee?
No, I did not. What happened was that there were charges initially that were put to the department, and we were on a process with the bargaining council where I had my lawyers to represent me, and the department, in fact, had also, had a law firm that was defending them. On Monday, on the 22nd of September, the department and ourselves met with the commissioner that was appointed by the bargaining council. And it was decided that we were going to exchange bundles, and that on the 2nd of November, we were going to now start with the process of disciplinary hearing. On Monday, this past Monday, we received the bundle duly from the department, unbeknown to myself and to my legal team, that the department had decided to send some letter to come to my residence, which I did not receive. And it looked like now they were doing parallel processes by myself and them. So yesterday, if I may just go on to yesterday's events, I come back when I was out, and I'm being told as well that there is a letter, and I had the letter around about 2 o'clock, that I received that letter that was saying that I failed to respond to a charge. And when I looked at this charge, it said that this charge, I failed, I violated my security clearance. It is then that time that I actually knew that there was this other parallel process together with my legal team, that there was a parallel process that the department had embarked. But I was surprised that how is it that I can violate a security clearance? And number one, if the department had cared to check whether I do have a security clearance or not, they would see that I do not have. And they did not say about any regulation, any policy that was violated. They just said I violated my security clearance. For me, it sounds like I violated even like something like a driver's license. But I urge them to look at whether this security clearance was done. Let's fast forward then. I come home around about 2 and I hear that there was this I was supposed to do. Immediately, I notify my my legal team that this has happened, and they also quickly tried to get in touch with the department, of which they sent a formal letter that this is also very new to them, and if anything they would, and the deadline for me was end of business yesterday. Now I've got 2 hours to try and listen to what the department is saying and try to make sure that we reply. The lawyers did reply around 3:30, and when they replied, they asked for an extension of whatever this process they had started that was parallel to the one that we had been embarked on with the bargaining council. Then it was then that they responded to our lawyers, to my lawyers, that they were now going to dismiss me. So this is the long and short of the story. So I'm not sure if Ms. Godlwana had read what anticipated, has seen the documents, so that she can come to an interview very informed.
So just to be clear, the meeting of the 22nd of September, where your legal representative met with the legal team of the department, it was agreed upon there that an external mediator would be appointed for the purposes of a disciplinary process. You will exchange bundles of charges and allegations, and that was meant to commence on the 2nd of November, which is next month, in the next 2 weeks. You have now been fired before your disciplinary process had been able to commence. Am I understanding you correctly?
Yes, you are understanding me correctly, but I'm saying on the 22nd, that was the first appearance that both teams had met with the commissioner that was appointed by the bargaining council.
Yeah. Sandy, I want to bring you back into the conversation here. We had lost you there for a second. And I need you to respond specifically. In fact, we don't have Sandy back on the line just yet. We'll attempt to get Sandy back on the line just now. And when we do, I do need a response to the question around the firing taking place before the disciplinary process is meant to commence on the 2nd of November in the next 2 weeks. I think we might have Sandy Godlwana, the spokesperson for the department, on the line right now. Sandy, why is it that Lumka Oliphant was fired 2 weeks before her disciplinary process was meant to commence, which is the 2nd of November? Seems like we don't have Sandy back on the line just yet. We'll continue to attempt to get Sandy back on the line. And so, Lumka, just for clarity, the response you received yesterday from the department about your firing before the commencement of your disciplinary process pertains to 2 things. One, that you had violated your security clearance, which you claim you don't have security clearance. And secondly, and to some of the claims earlier made by Sandy, that you had violated, or as they say, gross insolence, had violated your suspension conditions by speaking on behalf of the department, representing the department, and speaking about the work of the department, and speaking negatively about the minister during the time of your suspension. What's your response to that?
The issue that Sandy has brought here in terms of the minister not having a matric, it has never been in any of the documents that I was given by the department, for that matter. They don't even form part of the bundle. They don't even form any other part of it. The Monday request from us with the legal representatives on my side, they were specifically asking as well for all of those things. Yes, I did interviews after the trip of New York. Remember, this story was sparked by the fact that the minister had gone with a delegation to New York and spent about 3 million, of which I was then accused of leaking this information to the Sunday Times, which is something then that always happens when you are in these communication spaces. And after that, then they did send some of the, if you remember, there was a suspension on the AGSA. But when the charges came, they spoke nothing of what the AGSA I was suspended for. My charges relate then to after the things that had happened when I was suspended. If you look at my charges now as they stand, they speak nothing of the AGSA, but they speak about interviews, they speak about everything else. They don't even mention the issue of the matric with the minister, and all of the things that Ms. Godlwana was talking about here.
I want to pause you there. Prof. Matebesi, I want to bring you into the conversation. As you're watching this play out, and of course, Lumka described this as a political witch hunt or a politicized process initially. What's your view around the charges, the claims, and how the department had gone about it and the response from Lumka?
Good afternoon, Oliver, South Africans, and our fellow guest panelists. It's a difficult story this afternoon, and without doubt, there's the possibility of casting aspersions on anyone involved. It involves bread and butter issues, but fact of the matter is, and this is one thing which South Africans should learn, any government department, any state unit, department, state-owned company is there because of taxpayers' money. South Africans has a right to speak about this, and this is exactly what I'm going to do. But I'm not going to venture into the merits of the case and all that. But I'm really worried if any South African is being charged for informing South Africans about a public servant, whether it's a minister or whoever. Our leaders are public servants. They are serving South Africans about a trip. What is so secretive or confidential about a trip? Which is in any case sanctions by South African. And that for me, it's a bit worrying if this is one of the charges. And I also wanted to say, I still want to find in many departments where the Auditor General reports leads to convictions, leads to charges. In fact, I'm one of those that we are wasting a lot of money in South Africa with some of these Chapter 9 institutions. They do a good work, but they are completely disregarded. And I was a bit surprising. Wow, for the first time now, at least, in the public domain, we can see some of the tangible outcomes of these Auditor General reports. But I'm now surprised if Ms. Olifant says that those does not form. So for me, it seems as if there is a bit of political witch hunt, although we don't have the department now, which is a little bit worrying. And this is a critical department, and at the end of the day, it does affect service delivery, but it also it's indicative of a bubble of arrogance that some of our public servants has who occupy senior positions.
I want to pause it there just for a little bit. Lumka, I want to bring you back into the conversation. I interviewed you on the 1st of September when you were suspended, and you had said that the minister, you were suspended because you were at loggerheads with one of the advisors of the minister, a gentleman by the name of Nwako Khatla. Nwako, we then later learned through reports that allegedly has a romantic relationship with the minister, yet to be disputed and or confirmed by the minister and Nwako very specifically and pointedly and directly. And you then also made claims around the appointment of the Chief of Staff to the office of the minister being influenced by Nwako. Paint a picture for us a little bit more full circle what the tension was in the office between yourself and the close entourage of the minister, including her special advisor, Chief of Staff, and related functionaries.
I don't think I was at loggerheads with them. I was trying to make sure that we do processes in the way that we are entrusted by South Africans to do them. And when the minister came to the department, I was acting Director General Corporate Support Services, whereby I was responsible for the HR as well in the department. So when these appointments were made, there were some very stark things that we were not able to get through to our senior, the DG, for instance. The team I was supervising at the time, they spoke to the DG and actually had a submission that went to the DG specifying the concerns about, number one, the PA of the minister who did not who did not qualify even to be the PA, and later she was then appointed to be acting Chief of Staff. With Mr. Ngwako Khatla, I received 2 CVs of Mr. Khatla, who is the advisor of the minister. I then asked why was I getting 2 CVs of Mr. Khatla when we were dealing with somebody, and why were some information changed. And I did, voice these things out, and I did make sure that the team that we were working with gets to make sure that these things get, especially to the DG. There is a full submission that talks to this I am talking about. And to be honest with you, Oliver, I would not tell you what I had done to the advisor of the minister, because I have never worked with him before.
Just lastly, Prof, if what Lumka describes to be, and if the chaos which has been also reported congruent to that, about what's going on in the private office of Minister Sisisi Tolashe, should she be suspended by the President or removed from cabinet?
It's a difficult one because you will have to verify the information in front of you. This is almost what I would say labor process. So you will have to verify, otherwise the president will have to suspend everyone every second day on the basis of information that are peddled in public. But it's very worrying if you get to hear this kind of information, because that in itself, if it's true, tells you of people who get hired and who are throwing weight. Many public servants are actually in this particular situation where they fear to voice their differences and highlight some of the issues that happens in many departments, and because they will be facing these kind of consequences. If you speak out, they will definitely try to get rid of you. And hopefully this is not the case. But if it's true, then clearly action should be taken by the president.
Prof. Matibise, thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. Lumka, thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it.